Welcome back. I'm joined today by Sylvia Lafair, president of CEO Inc., which is a leadership development and team enhancement company working with large corporations, family firms, nonprofit organizations, startups. She is the author of this revolutionary brand new book that's creating buzz. Sylvia, welcome, by the way.
Well, thank you, Jess. Glad to be here.
And we're glad to have you. And tell us the name of this book.
The name of my book is Don't Bring It to Work.
Oh, now I'm thinking about all of the stuff that people bring to work, the not-so-good stuff. Mm-hmm. So are you referring to that in your book?
Well, that's perfect, because that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Okay.
You know, it's the sob stories, it's the angry annoyances,
yes.
It's the little corner conversations about...
The toxic boss?
The toxic boss.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
all of these things.
Or Peter the procrastinator.
Ooh.
You know, all those things that go on at work. And for years, as we've worked with companies, I thought there's so much infighting. What can we do about it? And while companies have spent billions of dollars to handle conflict, we haven't really gotten to the core. So I started to dig really deep.
Yeah.
And what I found was an interesting thing, and that is that our original organization, the family, what we learned there is exactly what we bring into the workplace.
Okay, so our original organization, yes, the family, is where we learn some good and bad habits.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So you're tracing it back there and you're saying, without a doubt, this is why people are bringing this stuff to work.
I'm saying, without a doubt,
yeah.
It's where we learn about favoritism. It's where we learn about fairness.
Yeah.
It's where we learn about deceit. It's where we learn about all the stuff. And it doesn't matter what kind of family. It could be the, single parent family. It could be same-sex family. It could even be foster care. It doesn't matter. We have learned these behavior patterns. We bring them into the workplace.
Well, I'm thinking right now, people reading your book might be saying, yes, this is resonating because everybody but me is trouble at work. Do you have people who read it and then realize, uh-oh, I'm Peter the procrastinator, or I'm the toxic boss, or have you heard that?
Well, here's what happens when we do our programs to show how these patterns apply at work.
And I know you have a great big training facility. By the way, that's all separate thing.
Right.
And the website for that, in case people want to check it out,
is retreatpa.com.
Okay. So when you work with clients, what do you find?
We find that if we're doing a day program, by lunchtime, people walk out saying, that sounds just like my boss, that sounds just like my coworker, that sounds just like my brother, that sounds just like my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
And then they come back after lunch and we say, what about you? And they go, oh, we're supposed to have these behavior patterns too? Well, the answer is, sorry, we all do. And it's how they connect with each other. That's where the action is.
Right. How surprising is it when somebody realizes, okay, I just unearthed that I'm not perfect?
Well, it can be a shock, especially to superachievers, because they just, want to kind of zoom up there and win all the awards, and they want to step on or over everybody.
I would imagine this would be good for superachievers.
Well, it's good for everybody because we all have some patterns.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll tell you mine.
Yeah?
I kind of hate to admit it, but
all right.
I tend to be a drama queen.
Really?
Oh, my goodness. Yes, I tend to be a drama queen.
Yeah.
And what I learned from that is when I was a kid growing up, and if my parents were having a difficult time or something was going on at home, I had a hissy fit. It was perfect.
And it
what
worked.
It worked. And then all the attention was on me, and by the time they got me calmed down, everybody forgot what they were arguing about.
So now hopefully you practice what you preach. So obviously you wrote this book, Don't Bring It to Work, and you run an organization. Do you bring that to work?
Well, of course not. Here's the good news
about... Or I imagine you figured it out, so now you could do something about it?
Well, let me tell you the good news about the book.
Yeah.
If this book were just about behavior patterns that we learned in our families and we bring to work, I probably wouldn't have written it. Because it's just to stamp us with, I am a denier or I am a martyr. But what this book does is help you transform them. We give you a technique called the out technique. It gives you the way out. So you have to start by observing the patterns, And change will come if you just do that. Then you begin to understand where the patterns came from deep inside from our families. Then you begin to transform them to what we call the positive and healthy opposite. So drama queen over here, I became a really good storyteller. And sometime when we have more time, I'll tell you some good stories.
Oh, I see. Well, I want to find out, are there any big companies that you've used this with? I don't know if you're at liberty to mention. You were telling me a little on the break.
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Sure. We've worked with companies. We've worked with Microsoft. We've done a lot of work with Novartis, the pharmaceutical company. We've done a lot of work with some large family firms. Yeah. And also some smaller ones, and we're working with a school district now. It's so exciting because we're working with the administrative staff, and this will tumble down to the kids and also to the parents. So it's another way to get in.
And if people want to just kind of whet their palate, find out a little bit more about what you're talking about, is there any free information on the web or anything?
Absolutely. If you go to sylvialafair.com, there is actually a quiz that you can take so you can find out what your patterns are, or pattern, but usually, just so you know, we all have 2 or 3.
So we should be brave.
Brave, very brave.
So what actually happens? People find out, what have you heard in terms of results afterwards?
Well, it's run the gamut from I really have more compassion with my coworkers now because I see how we end up in pushing each other's buttons, all the way up to, which is really fun. I've gotten calls from spouses who I'd say, hi, they say, I'm so-and-so's spouse. I'd say, what's wrong? They say, nothing, I just want to thank you. And I say, for what? They say, we don't know what you're doing, but he or she is so much nicer and so much more cooperative. So it tumbles into every area of our life.
Last question for you. What motivated you to even go down this journey, write this book?
Well, thanks for asking that, Jess. It's pretty interesting. This is passion for me because when I was a kid, I grew up in a family business that was fiscally very sound, but emotionally bankrupt. And my father would come home day after day from all the fighting, the infighting. And one day he came home, turned to my mother, and he said, I'm done. None of us realized at dinner time how prophetic what he said was. In the middle of the night, he had a heart attack and he died. And I knew that it was so much of it was from all the fighting that went on at work. Yeah. So for me, I see this as an insurance policy. Reading the book, taking the quiz, going into one of our programs is literally an insurance policy for the future, for your children, for your workplace, for productivity.
Something that we could all use.
Absolutely.
Don't Bring It to Work is the new book, Sylvia Lafair. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks. I'm delighted being here.